Greetings and welcome to episode 31 of Change Your Focus, a mindfulness podcast designed to inspire and center you. I am Dr. Aiko-Douglas, your host and transformational life coach, life integration specialist, and mindfulness practitioner, here to empower you to transform your life one mindful decision at a time. I'm also here encouraging you to be mindful of the products you use on and in your body, as well as the products you use around your home. So, last week we talked about belief and believing and the limiting beliefs that perhaps you hold, which are causing you to live your reality, right? So, whatever you believe is surrounding you. Literally, whatever you see in your life, it's because you believed it to be so. And so, if you noticed after our meditation, any beliefs that you identified that kept you in a box, feeling stuck, limited, just let me know like how you left that meditation and that experience, and maybe beliefs that you've been able to shift just in this 1 week after the episode release. Also, if you would like support in shifting your beliefs, raising, elevating your thoughts, your mindset, then please click the link in this video below or reach out to me on any social media platform, and I will send you the Calendly link so that you can book a discovery call with me so I can support you in elevating, transforming your beliefs so that you can actualize the reality that you desire. All right. So let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is about prognosis. Now, I invite you to contemplate this quote by Deepak Chopra. You can believe the diagnosis, not the prognosis. So I'll say that again. You can believe the diagnosis, not the prognosis. When I contemplate this quote, I think specifically about my first diagnosis. It was given to my parents, and I was 2 years young, and it was about me and my health. And they shared with my parents that I had sickle cell disease. And I've talked about that on here many times, as well as on my Instagram platform, right? All of the limitations that you are faced with when you receive this sickle cell diagnosis, right? And so being informed at the age of 2 that I have this dis-ease, and then having to live the lifestyle, right, of the do's and the don'ts. So don't overexert yourself. Don't um, experience extreme temperatures, so extreme hot or extreme cold. There's so many limitations around this disease, right? And then at a certain age, I believe I was 6 or 7. I will have to check that with my mom, but they were told that I would not live past the age of 12. And guess what, folks? Yesterday, I turned 43. So I celebrated my 43rd solar return. So I like to call this my 31 plus year, meaning I've lived 31 years past the age that the doctors gave me the prognosis that I wouldn't live. Hence, you can believe the diagnosis, not the prognosis. Yes? In addition to my sickle cell disease diagnosis, I also, as a result of sickle cell, right, it affects many organs in your body, your bones, you name it, everything. And so I've had other diagnoses come about throughout my 43 years now of living, and I'd like to share those different diagnoses with you and the things that I did to change my mindset so that I could create a prognosis, me and Divine, that felt good for me and allowed me to live the life that I desired. So I shared with you all last episode and episodes before, right, with the sickle cell disease diagnosis. When I went away to college, I changed my way of eating. I changed my diet, right? I took out beef, pork, chicken, and fish occasionally. I believe my freshman year, I was a fisharian or pescatarian, but at the time it was called fisharian. That's how long ago it was. And I only ate fish and then veggies and all the other things. And then my sophomore year, I became a vegetarian, only eating veggies. And then after that, I played around with different things, adding fish occasionally, chicken occasionally, but never adding back in beef or pork. And then also eventually later adding in these adaptogens that I've talked about, adding in herbs that I've talked about before, right, with you all. And just seeing what felt good for me, learning, really studying the dis-ease, the things that show up in your body, how you feel, and what would support my optimum health, what supplements and vitamins I could take to really help me feel the way I wanted to feel, which was a sense of vitality, having energy, not being limited, being able to do the things that I imagine myself doing, right? And so as I did that, I was able to live the life I imagined. And then I also share at a certain point in my adulthood where I was not listening to my body or doing the things that I really wanted to do. I was doing a lot of people pleasing and in misaligned marriage, in a misaligned career or job, right? I found myself with many other dis-eases. So pulmonary hypertension is one. It affects the lungs. And when I found myself in my 30s on oxygen, having to sleep with oxygen because I had this pulmonary hypertension and alleged asthma, and taking this medicine that the doctors had prescribed for me, I was like, what is happening? What is happening to me? I went from college and literally thriving, feeling so good in my body to this. And it was literally the misaligned things in my life, in addition to me not taking a hold of my own life, me choosing to say, okay, these things are diagnoses and I can decide how I want to live with them or without them, right? And so I share with you all how I eventually began to change those things. And my health, my physical health improved to the fact that pulmonary hypertension was healed for me. I no longer have that. To asthma was healed for me. I even had allergies. I was taking allergy shots on I don't know if it's a monthly or bi-weekly basis. I can't remember. But literally, I researched, I studied the things that would help me thrive. And I learned that I could take turmeric root. I could take local honey. So that's when I began to consume a lot of local honey with my teas. And I would buy turmeric root and literally I would cut it up as if it was carrots and eat it with my salad and really getting that in my system in a more potent way. And eventually those allergies and all those symptoms that I had went away. um, I've been diagnosed with gastritis, with gastroesophageal reflux disease. And so with gastritis and GERD, for 6 months, I did take the Nexium, right? The medicine that they prescribe, because I noticed that it healed what had transpired in my gut. And then I decided to eat differently in ways that were not harmful to my gut, just being mindful, right, of what causes this inflammation in my gut. How can I bring about more harmony within my gut, where all the health issues begin in the first place, right? And really fixing my microbiome, taking probiotics, prebiotics, really fixing that. And then eventually, after those 6 months, I was able to get off of the medicine and never have to take it again, and also heal my gut, right? So, some of these diagnoses, the doctors literally said, I would have them and I would be bound to this medicine. And if you know me, uh, you know that I like my freedom and I refuse to be bound to anything, especially not medication. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll see what I can find to free myself of this and live the way I want to live and feel the way I want to feel in my body. So that's most important. And then I've also shared on here that for a time I grappled with depression. And that was a diagnosis, and there was some medicine prescribed. And I share with you all how I had a wake up call when I was taking a sleeping pill that they had prescribed for me. And it was making me sleepwalk. And I didn't feel safe living where we lived at the time. I felt like I could just walk out on the balcony in my sleepwalking mode and perhaps fall. And that wouldn't be what I imagined for my life. And so I sat down, I got really still, and I listened and I said, what is happening in my life, so much so that I don't even know who I am. I'm in a low place and I don't know how to get out. And I slowly began to hear the direction of divine and guide me to release all of the misaligned things that I was doing, release the misaligned people that I had surrounded myself with, and go inward and become aligned with me and divine within me and listen to that and allow that to guide me in making the decisions that I needed to make in my career, doing what I love, fulfilling my purpose, teaching and nurturing, and not being focused so much on doing this thing to make this amount of money. And when I began to allow the things that weren't aligned to fall away and invite in the things that were aligned with who I was, I am, and continuously becoming, then I never again had to face this depression healed. And again, that's because I took control of the diagnosis. I sat down with divine. I listened, I was still, and I created my own prognosis based on how I wanted to feel. So I want to break those words down for you, right? Diagnosis is nothing but the doctor's identification of a dis-ease in your body based on some examination, right? Some tests they took, that's it. They took a test, they identified you have this dis-ease in your body, simply a notification that in this area, your body is missing some ease. So I said, how can I add more ease into my body? How can I add more ease into my body? Because I am without ease. And then prognosis is the doctor's prediction of the course that this dis-ease will take in your body. And so then based on that prediction, they determine a treatment plan for you And then with that comes more prognosis, right? More prediction. Well, if we give you this medication or we do this thing for you, then perhaps you can live a little longer or live this way. But again, it's the doctor's prediction. And then they tell you the possible results of this treatment plan. Again, all based on what the doctor has studied, which maybe they have to study the disease you have. Maybe the doctors that I have studied sickle cell disease, right? And maybe they studied depression, and maybe they studied gastroesophageal reflux disease. All these things, that's great. They are professional at that. So now they're allowed to come in with me because they don't know all of me. We could never know all of a person, right? They don't know what's happening in my body. I can share when I take this medicine, I feel this or this happens within my body. So now we become a team. I am on my health team with my doctor, right? Because I know me, I've studied me the most. I know me better than anybody in this world. And the doctor knows the dis-ease that's in my body. So if we partner, we can determine the best course of action and a belief system based on how I want to feel, not on how the doctor predicts I will feel, because they've only treated other patients. And I guarantee not all their patients have responded a certain way, have healed a certain way, etc. Because we are all different and we get to choose. And most importantly, we all have different mindsets. And so I'm sure they've seen where they told their patients one thing, and based on their patient's mindset, the patient was able to actualize something completely different. And then there are doctors who take notice of that. They take heed. They say, okay. Well, even though this person has this disease, and we've seen possibly in studies, right, where this is normally the way things would work with this disease. However, this specific patient was able to actualize a different result. And then some doctors become curious and say, well, how? Well, why is this? And what did they do? Did they take something different? Did they take what I prescribed? What was their mindset? Like, some doctors really dig in deep and some don't. I encourage you to find doctors who are aligned with how you want to feel so that you all can co-create your prognosis instead of just settling for what the doctor has predicted. And that is where the hope is, right? When you begin to do all that you can to improve your own prognosis, you have a say, you get to have that say, right? So even like something may be hereditary for you, right? That does play a part. However, we can overcome these things as well if we are mindful. There are many people who say, diabetes runs in my family, thyroid issues. I mean, there are a host. And if you look at the things that you can do naturally, holistically to treat this, right? Maybe you change the way you eat, what you are consuming, and you notice and you say, okay, if I take this out of my diet, how do I feel? If I add this herb that I found helps with this dis-ease in my body, I take this for a day, a week, a month, 6 months. How is it making my body feel? You can do your own analysis. You become your own study. Study you and how your body responds to all the things you put in it. This is the mindfulness that I invite you all to, that I encourage you to really look into. And most importantly, when you're taking these medications, please note here, this is a plug. This is me saying that I am not your doctor or the doctor. I'm simply saying what has worked and what worked for me, okay? So I'm not telling you to come off of your meds, not any of that. I'm telling you to align with doctors who feel good for you, who are aligned with how you want to feel in your body, and who you can create your own prognosis with. That is the thing that I am saying to you, okay? And so again, going back to things that are hereditary, not allowing that to keep you confined and stuck and thinking I am hopeless, right? I could have been hopeless when I received that diagnosis. My parents even could have been hopeless when they received that diagnosis for me, knowing that, they both had the trait, they created this child who now has the dis-ease. And now that she's 6, the doctor's saying she's only going to live 6 more years till 12, right? Imagine the hopelessness that could have come in there in that moment. But because my parents, my mom, my dad, were believers, Christians, they took that to God and prayed, told the ministers, had everyone at the church praying. And again, here I am at 43, 31 plus. I find it nothing but serendipitous that this is episode 31, by the way, in my 31 plus year. Um, yeah, that I'm here. And so, again, had we listened to the doctor's prognosis, then maybe I would not have thrived past 12, right? Like maybe I would have allowed that hopelessness to set in. Maybe my parents would have allowed that hopelessness to set in. And maybe we would not have thought or imagined life beyond 12 for me. However, I've been able to and always able to imagine life beyond where I am. And on each birthday, solar return, I choose to do something I've never done, experience something I've never done, travel somewhere that I've never been, something new, always within that year for me. And so, Happy New Year to me, and looking forward to all the new things that I will experience and do as a result of me being intentional, just as intentional as divine was when I was created, in experiencing life anew, opening myself up to more that is available to me. It is in this openness mind shared. I've shared that with you. That is one of my top 5 core values, right? To be open, this open mindedness, this openness to all that is. And so, in my ability to do so, my intention to do so, I open myself up to all these things. How can I improve my health, my relationships, my career, all these things that I shared in the previous episode, right? About belief. And so, here we are in this prognosis episode, talking about the various prognoses that I've received based on the diagnosis that I received. And then me choosing to say, well, no, you may think that as the doctor. However, I know me, I know myself, I know my mind, my body, and I know that I can thrive through this, I can beat this, and I will. All right? So, I encourage you, in addition to finding a doctor who aligns with how you want to feel, to find hopeful stories of people thriving with the same diagnosis that you have. That can be very uplifting. It can be very inspiring to listen to them, ask them questions. Maybe they're on social media. You can send them messages, ask them questions, make suggestions even, and maybe they can refer you to certain doctors. But become curious and lean in and find the hopeful stories, if indeed it is hope that you want. And then imagine what those people who thrived through their diagnosis, right, had to believe. Just imagine what they had to believe. And then also imagine who they had to become to rise above that diagnosis, meaning what habits they had to shift and change, what things they had to do differently. Maybe they had to stop surrounding themselves with certain people and align with others. Simply imagine who they had to become, okay? All right. I would like to, at this moment, guide you through a brief mindfulness practice to support you in accessing the hope, the inspiration, and motivation you need to thrive beyond whatever diagnosis or diagnoses you might have. So, again, I would love for you to start with your doctor determining your own prognosis. So before we begin our breath work, I invite you to sit on the floor, cross-legged, or in a chair with your feet flat on the floor to ground yourself. Your spine will be straight and your neck an extension of your spine. And now, once you're comfortable in this position, close your eyes. Begin to lengthen your breath, taking a little more time on each inhale and a little more time on each exhale. And as you are breathing deeply, simply become aware of what is happening in your body. Notice what you feel. Breathing slowly and deeply at your own pace. And now I invite you to imagine a bright light inside your chest and see this bright light expand and fill your entire body. And imagine this light adding warmth. And see what color this light is, filling your entire body. And then I want you to see the numbers of your age. However young you are, see those numbers. And then start to become aware of the limiting beliefs you may hold as a result of you being that age. You may say, "Oh, I can't do this anymore because I'm 43. Or people my age don't do that." Simply notice what limiting beliefs you may hold around your age. And now I invite you to see the opposite of that belief, the more positive, hopeful view of that belief. So maybe maybe typically people at 43 don't do this. However, I am strong. I do hard things well. I am bright. And I choose to access vitality. See a more optimistic, positive belief. And say that to yourself. And allow it to wipe away that limiting belief surrounding your age, or those limiting beliefs surrounding your age. Replace each limiting belief with a mindful belief, a more open, loving, optimistic, positive belief. And breathe those things in. And see yourself accessing that, rising to that, however you want to feel at this age and stage of your life, knowing that age is merely a number. Now I invite you to see the diagnosis or various diagnoses that you have received. Simply see them all. And now see your beliefs around them. Any prognosis that you may have received from the doctors, or any limiting prognosis that you may have given yourself. Simply see them all. Oh, I can't do this because I have sickle cell disease. Or I can't do that because I have asthma. Simply see those limiting beliefs based on your diagnosis. And now I would like for you to imagine the opposite. See the more expansive, mindful, hopeful, optimistic, positive belief around your diagnosis. See what you would like to happen within your body. I have sickle cell disease, and I know I am not limited to this earthly disease. I know that I am mind, body, and spirit, and I choose to do all that I can do to feel good within my body. I take care of my body. I eat healthy. I get the proper exercise. I take the supplements and herbal remedies that help me feeling great. And I will live long and strong. Really access those positive, powerful beliefs around each of your diagnoses. Remembering that a diagnosis is not a prognosis. You get to choose. In this moment, in this meditation, I'm inviting you to choose your own prognosis, you and divine. Ask, universe, divine, what is it that you desire me to do with this diagnosis? What did you have in mind when you placed this within my body? And how can I show up for it fully and empowered to make a difference within my own life and those who are watching me? Breathe deep. And listen to all that shows up for you. I invite you to take the deepest breath you've taken all day. And when you are ready, I invite you to begin to feel the seat beneath you and slowly opening your eyes when you are ready. How do you feel? Now, to complete our mindfulness session for today, please affirm by repeating after me. I co-create my own prognosis with divine. Good. Now let's say that again. I co-create my own prognosis with divine. Great. One last time. I co-create my own prognosis with divine. Beautiful. Today, I invite you to perhaps journal what showed up for you in your age limiting beliefs and your diagnosis limiting beliefs. And then also journal what came up for you as far as your more expansive, open, positive beliefs for each of those. And start to become aware of the things that you want to do daily to shift, to transition, and ascend to higher level in this thing and begin to show up the way you want to show up based on your own prognosis. Okay? So, may you enjoy integrating mindfulness into your life daily. I invite you to breathe deep often and contemplate ways that you can shift your focus and only think thoughts that support you in creating the prognosis that you desire to experience. Remember, mindfulness is always available to you every minute of every day. May you use each minute to be mindful. I am Dr. Aiko-Douglas, your transformational life coach, life integration specialist, and mindfulness practitioner, here to empower you to transform your life one mindful decision at a time. I'm also here encouraging you to be mindful of the products you use on and in your body, as well as the products you use around your home. If you found this podcast through social media, please share which platform in the comments below. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, I invite you to join my exclusive community on Patreon at Integr8 Lyfe. Thank you for tuning in, engaging, listening, and being mindful with me today. Namaste. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 32. It's all about service, living beyond the scope of your own needs.